The thing that stands out the most to me from your story that you mentioned is that you kept finding resources as you grew up to pursue your interests, right? Because I think a very important part which people might forget is the teachers that you had, right? Like if you enjoyed learning the subject, that's what made you continue doing it, right? So the importance of having a good teacher plays a very big role in anyone's interest in a particular subject, right? Being in a college like this, you don't really have a control on who teaches you what, right? Because the professors change.
Yeah, it's a matter of luck.
Right. It is a matter of luck. So how have you realized that importance of having good teachers and being where you are right now?
Oh yeah, no, that really is important to keep up motivation. And I got lucky. I mean, of course, we all have our share of good teachers and bad teachers, right? But so, for example, in high school in Spain, I really was thinking of chemistry more as synthesis, so you like make molecules, and that's still one of the largest parts of chemistry, a very important one. But I had a really good physics teacher, and I never really thought that much about physics before, and had him for 2 years, and I got to talking about him, and he actually realized that, hey, this guy seems to have some mathematical aptitude. So I actually started studying quantum mechanics and things like this with this guy in school, and he brought his university textbooks in for me to. But again, not any high school teacher is necessarily going to do that. But this guy did it, and so I enjoyed that a lot, and that actually was one of the things that veered me over from more like the synthesis side of chemistry towards the physics side of chemistry, which is still what I do now. And it's more under what we call physical chemistry is the name of the sort of area within chemistry. And I came to the US a couple of years later when my parents moved from Malaga to San Francisco, and I had a really good calculus teacher there. And she was very strict, of course, like many calculus teachers are. My favorite story from that is, so in Germany, when you write numbers, the digit 1 actually kind of looks like almost like an A, but without the bar through it. You just go up and then you go down. Whereas in the US, it's just down. And so, I would do these calculations on the exams or in homework, and the answer might be something like 1,123, and I would write 123, and she would give me 0 on and say, you said 7723, And I said, no, it's obviously 1. You can see my 7 has a bar in the middle through it. So he says, no, in the US, you put, so it's 0. So very quickly, obviously, I got convinced to switch over from from the European one to the vertical bar one, since I did want to get good scores on the exams. And that worked out perfectly well in the end. She was actually very good. That sort of made me a little grumpy, but it turns out she was actually very good. And also, again, had that attitude of, if a student is interested in going beyond the classroom, then you can give them extra stuff, to work on. And so that was this case again there with mathematics. In fact, I was a minor in mathematics at Berkeley. And I was even debating at some point, and this is so interesting, maybe I should, even switch over into that. But actually, then I got to know real mathematicians. And these guys are so much better at it than I am or was even back then, right? That I thought, forget it. I mean, these people are like really apt at it. And that's when you sort of realize there are actually different ranges of aptitude for different kinds of things. And there's, of course, always improvements that you can get through learning. But there's also something like natural talent. It's not just a question of, you can become a professional mathematician just because you say you're going to do that, right? That's not really good enough. And that was actually one of those places where I realized that different people have different aptitudes, and of course you can learn almost anything up to some extent. But then if you want to be in that 99.9999% where you need to do research, right? Then you can't necessarily have that natural facility. And so I just stuck with the math minor and again stayed with physical chemistry, because physical chemistry also requires a certain aptitude for experiments and designing experiments, and how do you make things work when you don't seem to have like even the right kinds of materials that you need to build up an experiment and do something. And I was very good at that, and so that came in very handy, and that's why I also decided to pursue grad school in chemistry.